In this video, we're going to talk about what support and resistance is in trading. Doesn't matter if what market you're in, Bitcoin, forex, stock market, name it, support and resistance is the most important of them all. Good day everyone, and welcome to the first video of the series about my favorite technical analysis tool, support and resistance. My name is Lloyd and welcome to our channel, Financial Freedom University. Now, newbies tend to miss out on support and resistance and more focused on those other tools like MACD, RSI, moving average, etc. Don't make that mistake. Learn support and resistance first. Now, if you're gonna ask me if there is only one technical analysis tool out there I can use, what is it? Hands down, my answer will be support and resistance. Now, why? Market deals with psychology, we all know that, and you need to know how the people in the market think, and this is the best tool out there for that. This helps you know when the market thinks a price is too expensive or is too cheap to buy, and the market does react accordingly to that. Now, for example, a price of a company last week started a rally from 50 and is now at 60. Then the price starts to go down. The expectation is that it will go back down to 50 as the market sees that price as cheap, and then we'll see buying again. That 50 is the support. Now first we're going to look at the theory and then look at some real market examples. Now I can do a whole day of examples with this, as this is the most common movement in the market. This is why this is my favorite, because it is the market itself that is telling us exactly where there is good supply and demand. This tells us where the buyers and sellers at, where to buy, where to exit, and where to set our stop loss.
Now let's look at our theory. We usually look at the theory on a drawing. For example, we look at the market that's on a downtrend, and this suddenly happens. The price starts to rally up and does this. We look at the previous high and draw a line there, and that becomes our resistance. Now we look at our previous low, draw a line there. If the price does this, it doesn't break that line, that becomes our support level. Now what we do is, this is our buy signal, so we buy here with a stop loss just below that support level. So that's how straightforward support and resistance is. Now let's look at it on the real market.
Now for a real example, I prepared two, a short-term and a medium to long-term trade, just to show you how support and resistance plays out in the market.
Alright, for our real example, I'm going to bring out the best short-term market out there, Bitcoin. This is to prove to you that support and resistance that does apply on all types of markets. So this was last December. This was the peak of the success of Bitcoin, where it climbed up from 8,000 up to almost 20,000. Now on that climb, various supports were made. Let's mark that here at around this level. One is here from this pullback. Now it climbed up and formed another support here. This one's pretty strong because it's a long support. And then another one climbed up here. Now, at the peak, we saw some selling. Now, look at the prices when it hits support. Let's slowly go down, slowly go down, slowly go down. There. At this point, Bitcoin hit its first support. What happens to the market when it hits the support? The next hour, buying started to kick in. Now, are we going to expect this to be another climb up? I don't think so, because we've been having lower highs, so meaning this is on a downtrend, and this has been a very sharp climb of Bitcoin, so we are expecting a pretty sharp pullback too. And true enough, let's move forward. It did buy off a bit, but still, because of gravity of stock market, it does pull down. Now let me remove the support. It does break out the first support, and then it touched the second level of support just right here. I mentioned earlier this is a pretty strong support because it stayed for a while at that level. Expect this to be a good support, and it does hold out for a few hours But again, this was a sharp climb, so we're expecting a dip, and true enough, it does dip and touch and break down that support. Let me remove that support now, because that's invalid already. Where do you expect the next action will be? Of course, at the next support. Let's see what happens when the price touches this line of support right here. It's almost there. There, it breached this support right here. And this is a very strong support because this was from a pullback. So what happens when it reached here? Look at the prices. It started buying again, and since it's a strong support, it did break it down. But still, buying started up there. It did go up to 15,000 but lost steam, so we're expecting it to go down here or maybe on the other support. So it reached, it's almost at the support again, and let's see what happens next. So it breached the support, and then when it breached the support, the next 4 hours, buying started again. Do you notice that whenever it touches the support, buying starts? That's the power of support. You know when the buying will start. Now, let's see here. Buying started here. This is our signal to buy. And if this is confirmed, then we have a new level of support. There was a sell-off, but there's a big rally after that. So this is our new level of support right here. Let me remove these supports so it won't be confusing and make a support right here. Now, this is our new support. What happens to the market since we marked that support? If we bought it here at our support, we would have ridden this climb right here. Right, so this is pretty much a big win for Bitcoin. This was from around 12,000 to 16,000. That's almost 50% climb. If you bought it here, put a stop loss here, then you would have gained 50% of your money. Sell-off started here. Let's make that our resistance. Now sell-off started here. This would have been our signal to sell. And look at what happens. It did sell out. Now, where do you think the next action will happen? Of course, at the support. So since this is a very strong market, we expect the movement to go back to support. And true enough, after a bit of movement, it does reach our support again. Now, what will happen if it reaches our support again? Buying happens. It did breach, but that breach triggered people to buy. That's why there was a price recovery. Now, if with this price recovery, this would have been our signal to buy. It did go down a bit, and that would be our signal to buy right here. And then watch what happens if you bought from that support level. It was sketchy at first, but you would have ridden another 50% increase of your investment. Now that's how strong support and resistance is even in a very short-term market. All right, for our long-term example, let's pull out Jollibee. This is last November when Jollibee did a downtrend. It did a pretty sharp downtrend, but we saw buying here. The market did consolidate, but this trend right here is a downtrend. But there was a buying here, and we have an obvious resistance here. Let's mark that as our resistance. Since there was a buying here, the market should come up. And truly it did. But when it hit resistance, we expected Jollibee to climb down. It did climb down, tried to consolidate a bit, but still it's on a downtrend. Where do you think Jollibee will start to pick up again? Of course, at the support line. This is just a temporary support line because we haven't confirmed if this is a valid support yet, but let's see if it is a valid support. After consolidating, it did go down. It did breach that line, but then when it breached that line, look at what happened. There was buying. A wise move would have been to buy at this area and then set a stop loss just below the lowest price. Now, if you rode that, it did climb up a bit, and look at how resistance works. Now, we are now at the resistance level. What happens when a price goes at the resistance? People start to sell off, and you expect for the price to sell off. It did do a downtrend again. Now, where do you expect for this price to come down again? Of course, at the support level. But at this point, we see buying at this area and making a new support here. It's been like this for a while. This can be a new support. We can't be sure. Now this happens, meaning this is a new support. There was a climb and then goes down, and at this level, it starts buying again. So let's move the support here. So this is a new support level. It did try to hit the resistance again, but see what happens when it reaches resistance. Sell-off happens again. But since we have a new support, we have a new place to know where to buy Jollibee again. It tried to flirt with the resistance, but it fell down. Now, there's buying here. This is the nearest we have for the support. This is our signal to buy. So an aggressive approach would have been buying here and then set a stop loss just below our support. And if you did that, you would have been able to ride this climb of Jollibee. Since it's on an uptrend, it's been higher lows for 3 consecutive parts now. So we are expecting this to break out. It did break out on that resistance right here. What happens if it reaches the resistance? It will sell off. It did start to sell off, but it's a bullish trend. It's a very strong bullish trend now. So it's been trying to fight the resistance right there. Another breakout. But since again, this is already on a bullish trend, we should have been able to ride this climb of Jollibee. So you see how powerful support and resistance can help you.
Now just to review, support is where we buy, and then the stop loss should be just underneath the support line. You short sell at the resistance if the momentum dies down, and most of the time it does die down at the resistance. You'll have to check with other technical analysis tools to know if this will be a breakout or not. We'll discuss about dealing with breakouts on a different video. Now it doesn't work perfectly, but it can definitely tell us where to start our trade and an obvious area for us to set our stop loss. And most importantly, an obvious area where to sell. If you're not using it, you should start looking at it. I think this is where a trader should start his or her trading techniques. We'll be developing this technique over the next few videos. To make sure you don't miss out on those videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. And as usual, if you have any questions or comments, please put it down below. We do read all those comments. So that's it for our first video about support and resistance. Happy trading, everyone.